Back at y'all with another video. Your Dennis Ugas. Your Dennis Ugas posted on Facebook his thoughts on the upcoming Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence fight. Uh, he basically, I just read what he said. Unbelievable that this fight looks like it's going to happen. But to surprise at 154 and no titles on the line. Still a great fight with some of the best lads of this generation. What a disappointment. Amazing how that undisputed 147-pound championship fight was made. In our Spence Ugas fight, I made Spence pledge that the winner would follow no excuses for the fight for the 4 belts. True, Spence did his part. He signed his contract, and Crawford took his $15 million contract and a historic boxing fight and responded with excuses and announcing his fight against Avanesian for $10 million. But it's good that these things happen. So many fans give more value to the fighters who always want to fight against the best, who always want to give great fights to the fans. You Dennis Ugas. Basically, what you Dennis Ugas is saying that him and Errol Spence agreed when they were negotiating their fight that regardless of who won, the next stop would be undisputed. So basically, your Dennis Ugas verified that Errol Spence had every intention on making that fight with Terrence Crawford at 147. I ain't never been one to call nobody a duck, but I mean, that's just more proof that Errol Spence Jr., along with all other proof, that Errol Spence Jr. had it was in his plans to fight Terrence Crawford next, and he had every intention on fighting Terrence Crawford for undisputed. It was Terrence Crawford that had other plans. Now, the $15 million, I'm not sure what he's referencing. I've heard that PBC offered Crawford, $15 million for a 3-fight deal. And that could be possibly where the $15 million come from. I'm not sure, so I can't be certain about that. But, according to your Dennis Ugas, their only goal and their only objective were to unify those 3 belts and then move on to that 4th belt for undisputed. There wasn't any plans to fight anybody else, according to your Dennis Ugas. That was Bud Crawford was next. Nobody else. But like I said, Bud Crawford had other plans. So all these people pushing this narrative that Errol Spence Jr. ducked Bud Crawford, that's just bullshit. I mean, you really ain't got nothing to hold on to at this point. You got a bunch of people trying to say now that, well, I thought you said you weren't gonna fight Keith Thurman. Yeah, that's what he said. But if that's the best y'all can do to blame Errol Spence for something, hey, just go right ahead. Everybody know the truth. Everybody know that Keith Thurman is Errol Spence's mandatory. Apparently, he still wants to fight Bud Crawford. If he does not fight Keith Thurman, whether it's at 154 or 147, I'm assuming that they still gonna strip his ass if he don't fight Keith as a mandatory. You know, I don't know the ins and outs of that since they are supposed to be fighting at 154, but the WBC is up first. I think it's the WBC. I don't know if it's the IBF next because they were talking about 120 days after April, and now I heard somebody say 60 days to negotiate with that for the IBF. I don't know. I ain't for sure, but point being, Earl Spence Jr. had every intent on fighting Bud Crawford for undisputed next. He wasn't thinking about fighting nobody else, and he didn't have a backup plan. That's why everybody was so surprised. Everybody on Spence team was so surprised when Bud Crawford announced that he was fighting David Abnesian for $10 million. So, you know, that just proved that Earl Spence Jr. had every intent on fighting Terrence Bud Crawford. He was locked in on that fight. And, you know, Dennis Ugas basically proved that by saying what he said. So, you know, all this nonsense about Earl Spence Jr. ain't never wanted to fight Terrence Crawford, it's a bunch of bullshit. But, you know, people gonna push their narrative however they want. But you guys tell me what you think. That's all I got. It's the OG Mr. Mont. Salute to the mighty LDBC, and I'm out.